So incredibly helpful, Juliana. Thank you. And we do have Leonard next. So Leonard, if you can go ahead and unmute yourself for your question for Julieanna Hever. Hi, Leonard. Just want to make sure you click the unmute button on your end. Hopefully that's working. I think our tech, there we go. Hi, Leonard.
Hi. Yeah, I was just curious. I guess I sort of missed the beginning of your presentation, but I was curious, do you get involved with wheatgrass?
Involved?
Yeah, like as far as like drinking it or on a basis, a daily basis. Yeah.
Oh, people do and people love it. I don't believe in miracle foods, or like I try not to say, oh, you need to drink this every day to have blah blah blah. I just, if it works for you. I was pounding that for a long time. I realized one day, I'm like, wait a second, I'm allergic to wheat, I'm allergic to grass. What am I doing? I was like, why is it making me so miserable? So it works for some people, but I don't think you need to have that to have a healthy diet. So if it works for you, that's like this whole new celery juice thing. People are like swearing by celery juice because the doctor wrote a book about it or something. And I don't think that's necessarily a cure-all by any means. So if it works for you, great. It's a great way to get chlorophyll. And, if it doesn't bother you and you have access to it and you love it, then by all means enjoy it. But you could also, eat kale for lunch, or there's just benefits in all those different things. So I hesitate to give like the halo effect to any specific food or beverage because there's just so many options out there on a plant-based diet.
Thanks, Juliana. We're going to go back to Carol one more time and see if Carol, if your unmute button is working. Carol, hi, Carol. Are you there? Carol. Oh, Carol, I'm so sorry. We seem to be having an issue, but please try back again whenever you can, perhaps in a future lecture. We are going to move forward now to Denise. Denise, please go ahead and unmute yourself for Julieanna Hever.
Hi, I do have another question, and this one is about calcium. I'm aware about the studies about the countries consuming the most dairy have the most fractures. I know that we have to stress our bones and all that to make them healthy. But yet, the recommendations depending on age are like maybe from 700 to 1200 milligrams of calcium a day. And I worry, and people I teach worry, are we really getting enough? And so I was wondering if you could maybe just give some more guidance on that. Maybe you could share what you do. I eat a great whole food plant-based diet, but I still wonder, am I meeting my calcium needs? I'm a 69-year-old woman, with certain osteopenia and all blah, blah, blah. So anything you could share on that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Denise. That's such an important question. And again, if we're not counting, then it's like, how do you know? And are we going to really wait for this to show up in our bone density? Because calcium is so tightly regulated because it's an electrolyte, like really important on the heart. And if you, my husband's home for lunch. Calcium is so tightly regulated by the heart that if you become low, your body's going to naturally deplete it from the bones. And so you're not going to know until it's too late. And so that can be a concern. So, and now we saw that new study that came out a few months ago on bone health and vegans, and it is an issue, right? So you need to make sure of all the different factors, make sure your vitamin D levels are optimal, because if your vitamin D levels are optimal, you're going to be absorbing calcium better, because absorption is an issue too. It's not just how much calcium you're taking in, because we could excrete it as well. So make sure your vitamin D levels are optimal, make sure you're taking your vitamin B12, make sure you're getting a source of calcium every single day. So calcium set tofu, fortified plant milks, almonds, tahini, sesame seeds and tahini. Make sure you're aiming to get adequate calcium from the diet. It's a really good question, because unless you're counting, unless you're really adamant about that, you're not going to know. But so when you look at that other study, we're trying to hypothesize what else could be besides, why are we having these bone issues? And that was one of them. So making sure your B12, your D, what are the other ones? Exercise, like you said, making sure you're exercising, getting the resistance exercise so that you're stressing the bones every day, and making sure you're getting calcium sources in your diet. So some people do supplement with calcium. I know there's some issues with that, but it's definitely something to be mindful of. So thank you for bringing it up. It's really important. Also oranges and figs. I'm trying to think of other calcium-rich foods, almonds. But yeah, it's definitely something to be mindful of. All of that for bone health, really, really, really important for women on a plant-based diet.
Thank you, Juliana. Up next, we have, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, Mayuri, if you would go ahead and unmute yourself, please.
Hi, Juliana. Can you hear me?
Yes, hi.
Hi, sorry, great. Thank you for your amazing talk. I was just wondering, I've suffered with anorexia in the past very long ago, but I have lost my menstrual cycle and regained it. Is there a safe limit for fats that I should be ensuring that I definitely do get into my diet to avoid that situation again?
Well, good question. I don't think it's necessarily the fats, unless you were doing it, again, I'd have to know your history, more details, but generally speaking, amenorrhea can happen from just having a caloric deficit. And so I never want to like micromanage how much of the different macronutrients, as I talked about with macro confusion. So I would suggest just making sure you're getting adequate calorie so that you're maintaining a healthy weight. And if you dip down into a weight, if you lose a certain amount of weight and you notice that that starts to be a problem, then you know that you need to stay within the healthy weight range. So I use the Hamley formula to calculate this. So based on your height, so if you're say for 5 feet, it's 100 pounds and 5 pounds after that. So if I'm 5'4", so my ideal body weight is 120 plus or minus 10%. So just to know your optimal weight range, you could look that up too. So make sure you're getting within your healthy weight. And then you want to eat a nice wide variety of foods. The essential fats we need you want to get at least 15% of your calories from fat. Again, I don't recommend calculating this, but you can do that by getting the 1 to 2 ounces of nuts and seeds a day and eating a wide variety of these whole plant foods. So I don't suggest taking any special oils or anything like that. I don't think that's necessary, but incorporating things like avocado, and again, the nuts and seeds are really super important for that. But it's a nice wide variety, a health promoting broad diet will help you, and just making sure you're getting adequate calorie should help you avoid amenorrhea in the future.
Great, thank you. And up next, we have Louise. Louise, go ahead with your question if you can unmute yourself first. Hi, Louise.
Hi there. Hey, everybody. I'm just calling in from Amsterdam, and I'm getting a little bit of surprise now that you called out my name, because I'm actually in a care home right now and the nurses are waiting to turn me over in the bed. I'm actually in a care home because of breast cancer metastasized to my bones, and working on trying to regain my health again. I really believe in my body's self-healing capacity, and I've been doing really well, and it's been going in a good direction. But my main concern at the moment is hair loss. I haven't taken any chemo, but I actually have hair loss happening really rapidly suddenly. And actually I have been bed confined for 6 months, and I heard about something called pressure alopecia, but there's also stress going on. My mum just died and things like that. But so it's all kind of happening all at once, and I'm 49. And I usually have a whole great big, it's usually kind of like my biggest feature, actually. My hair is really big, massive load of curly locks. And I wondered if there's any advice you can give me. I eat mainly vegan organic. So is there anything in particular I can do?
Well, first, Louise, I'm sending you so much love and well wishes to you. I'm sorry about your mother. I can't even imagine going through all of that at one time.
Thank you very much.
You're right about, from laying in bed and from the stress and from everything your body has been through, it's very traumatizing on the body. So, but from a nutritional standpoint, there's certain things, people lose hair for certain circumstances like hormones, which could definitely be related to what you're experiencing, and stress, which definitely is related to what you're experiencing. And also not having adequate calories. So I work with a lot of clients that are trying to lose weight, and it's very common to experience this hair loss. But I would remind you that it's probably temporary, and it can come back when the stress, when you're healing and getting better, and just making sure you're getting adequate calories from these health promoting foods. There are some things, I just did an episode of this on my Choose You Now podcast on my last Q&A, if you want to listen to more details on it. But I talked about like nutrition for hair, and some things to consider are the omega-3 fatty acids. So I don't know if you're taking a microalgae plant-based omega-3 formula, like an EPA and DHA pill, a supplement, that might be something to consider just to get those, make sure you're getting those. The long chain omega-3 fatty acids, that's linked to that as well. Making sure you're getting sources of vitamin E. So making sure you're getting 1 to 2 ounces of nuts and seeds. I have in my books and my papers and everywhere on my website a mnemonic called the 6 daily threes. And it's a way to remember how to prioritize the most important foods so that you're getting all of those different unique nutrients. So the cruciferous and leafy green vegetables, the legumes, the nuts and seeds, mushrooms. I just changed my I'm going to be releasing my new 6 daily threes with mushrooms now. The other colored vegetables, the oranges and reds and yellows, and then the fruits. So making sure you're getting all of those things to make sure you're getting a nice, well-balanced diet is really important as well. Making sure you have your B12, making sure your D levels are optimized. But what I'm guessing, just hearing what you said, it's just all this horrible stress that you've gone through. So I'm praying for you that everything gets better and you heal fast, and that you can get just eating this healthy way of eating. You'll get your beautiful curls back, and that you're going to feel as best as you can. So I'm sending all my best to you.